I'm Tammi Veerbeek from Western Christian Volleyball, and this is Empowering the Iowa Girl.
So if we look back at last year, your 14th state championship in 4 sets against Mount Vernon. So what was the mindset coming into that? How was the team coming into that championship game? Kind of talk us through how that day unfolded.
Yeah, we were considered the underdog, if you want to say that. I don't know if anyone really considers Western Christian the underdog, but we felt like we were coming into that match. And we talked about the year before when we played Dyke New Hartford, and we were in that kind of same familiar spot. And I told the girls, you got one chance of this. And we really preached like no fear of failure. You can't play scared. You can't play worried about mistakes. Like, you just have to play together. You have to just put it all on the line. Like, this is it. You're playing the biggest game in high school sports right now, and you're never going to get this moment back. So Western Christian just over the years has done a really good job of embracing that moment. And we really just preach that we're the better team. Like, we really put it in their mind, even though sometimes I think maybe we aren't, but we really put it in their mind like we can beat this team. Like, we just fill them full of confidence, even though as coaches are like, yeah, this is going to be tough in some areas, but we just fill them with so much confidence. We're the better team. We're going to win. You're going to be state champs in 2 hours. It's all they hear. It's all they think about. And they just kind of go out and play free. And we were able to do it again last year. And it was, very rewarding as a coach to see your team reach that pinnacle.
Filling them with confidence helps overcome maybe a bad set or maybe a bad swing. Is that kind of your mental approach in doing that and building them up with that confidence coming into big games like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because volleyball is a game of errors. We talk about that all the time. There's going to be errors. There's going to be missed serves. You're going to get blocked. It's part of the game. The key to winning a state championship is have less errors than they do. Play great defense, play together, don't get shook, come together and just move forward through the plays. And we really have a next ball mentality. Let that play go. Or we talk about having a short memory. We always say short memory. And what that means is forget about the last play. Forget about what you just did. The next ball's coming. How are we going to correct it and make this better for our team?
That ended last year. Now, if we roll that clock back, where did this passion for volleyball develop? Where are you from originally? How did volleyball kind of come into your life to lead to where you finished the season last year?
Well, I'm sitting right here, Western Christian. This is my alma mater. This is where I began my volleyball journey as a young girl under the tutor of Tom Vandenbosch, who kind of started the dynasty at Western Christian. When I became a coach, it wasn't like I was building this program. I felt the pressure of maintaining the history and, success of Western Christian volleyball. So yes, I played here. I went on and played at Dordt College. It's now Dordt University. I loved the game. I loved the relationships. I knew from a very young age I wanted to be a PE teacher and a coach, and I'm living that dream out right now.
And was that passion for volleyball in Western Christian in the community, was that something your parents embraced, the community? Did everyone know when you came to Western Christian when you were in high school, you're going to play volleyball?
Yeah, it was definitely growing when I was in high school. I think when I was a sophomore, they won their first state championship at Western. So it was definitely like taking off. And girls were loving the game. We were finding success in volleyball. So even back when I was a player, it was kind of the hot sport to be a part of at Western Christian.
So from Dordt College, you go on to Okoboji High School, where you have your first head coaching job, and you're there 3 to 4 years?
3.
3 years.
Yep.
If you look back on that time, how was that learning experience? You come out of college, you're ready to roll, take on your team. What were some bumps along the road, and how did you really develop your coaching philosophy at Okoboji?
Yeah, I went into Okoboji, who wasn't probably known for volleyball at that time, but they had a really talented sophomore class. So the first thing as a young coach, like being part of Western, it didn't matter what grade you were in here. So that was my mindset. I'm going to find the best players regardless of grade. So that was something that I had to overcome there a little bit because they thought maybe just seniors should be playing. Well, I ended up taking these 6 sophomores, and the first year, it was a little rough. We won 9 matches. And the second year, I was like, we're going to get better. We kept training, and we won 19 matches. And my final year at Okoboji, we had won 10 more. We were 29-3, and we ended up losing to Western Christian in the regionals, and Western goes on to state that year. But that was a good journey for me. I appreciated stepping out of this area and kind of building a program, which was a different feeling. And every win was monumental there. So that was a really good experience for me as a young coach.
Western Christian opportunity comes up after 3 years at Okoboji. So you get that job.
Yep.
And you come back home, Western Christian. How'd you approach that first year?
Yeah, fortunate for me, my assistant coach when I was a player was still the assistant coach here. He chose not to be the head coach. He loved the JV level. He loved the developmental. And so I had a great mentor. My advice to new coaches is to have a great mentor. And now that I'm an older coach, a veteran, I would say, is that I do try to mentor younger coaches and reach out, hey, you need this, and they'll ask me questions. And but when you're starting out, you need a mentor. And I had a great one here at Western Christian. His name was Butch Koyman, and he had been a mainstay here for years. So to have that support, to have someone to talk to, and Western Christian in general, there's great athletic directors. I think when I started, Jim Ekoff was the athletic director. So Grin, great mentor. He's the longtime winning basketball coach. So I had all these mentors around me to kind of guide me in my first years here at Western Christian.
And having that assistant coach that had been a long time in the program, not challenging for the position, that culture of selflessness. I mean, it sounds like he was really somebody there that wasn't competing or trying to say, oh, I told you so, but really trying to help develop you as a coach and continue the program.
Absolutely. He didn't want to be the head coach. In fact, he reached out to me, called me several times and said, Tammi, we need you over here. I felt very supported by him. We became a team. And, that's another thing. As coaching over these years, I've had different coaches come through my program. But right now, we have a really, really strong core of coaches, assistant coaches that I trust and have my back. And that is huge in a coaching program.
When you look at Okoboji, we talked about kind of that buy-in. Those first couple of years in Western Christian, was there a buy-in moment, or was there a buy-in season? Was there something that happened in those early years where the community said, we're on the right track, or where you felt like we're on the right track as a program?
I mean, I always felt like Western Christian had the support because we had been successful. So like I said, I felt the pressure of maintaining what was already happening at Western and even heightening it more. And, starting that tradition, I think in 2000, we won, I think there was a point where we won 4 in a row. And, then you feel the support. Success definitely brings interest, right? Like little girls look at that. They go to the state tournament. They see us there. They desire that. They want that. So I think, early on, we found some success here, and it just kind of fueled the fire for the future of the program.
How do you attack the pressure? When you have that success, sometimes the pressure to maintain that. How do you handle that as a coach, maintaining that high standard of volleyball?
There's definitely been some pressure here, and you feel it when we've had this much success. You go into state again this year, and they hate to say it, but they got that streak of 23 years in a row. And but I always look at it, and we talk about it with the team too, that pressure is a privilege. We've earned that pressure. We can't look at it as a negative. We have to look at it as we are Western Christian volleyball, and we've kind of earned that pressure per se by our hard work, what we put in behind the scenes. A lot of times you only see what's at the state tournament, but there's so much more that goes on beyond those state championships that it's just a privilege to be part of this program and the culture that we've created. It's just been a joy, and it's just been kind of an identity in my life, but it's brought me so much joy through this program.
That's great. Winning is as contagious as losing. When you get that tradition going, it helps you, those low moments, those low years. How'd they find a way? Well, that's because of what we do. That's great. When you think about coaching role models, early on in your career, throughout your career, if you can think about maybe 2 or 3 coaches that you looked up to, and what did you take or adopt from them? Was there a couple coaches along the way where you're like, I really liked how they did this in their program that you said, you know what, I'm gonna maybe incorporate that into my program or adopt that?
I've had a lot of different coaches come across my path over the years. Obviously, my own coach, Tom Vandenbosch, was a very soft-spoken, very gentle man, but he showed that he cared about us. So that's one thing that I really incorporated into my years, is that there's a saying that says, nobody cares how much you know unless they know how much you care. And so that's true. You can have this coach that knows so much about volleyball, but the girls are not going to care about that unless they truly know how much you care about them. So that's something like early on, I knew that was going to be important. I could know everything there is about volleyball, but if the girls didn't know that I cared about them, who they are, even off of this court, and built relationships with them, and they knew I loved them no matter what, it's not going to work. So that's my number one forefront I learned from Tom Vandenbosch, is you better build relationships with these girls. They got to know you care about them off this playing field, who they are, what they are, building their faith journey, and that's going to carry you a long ways in sports. It cannot just be the X's and O's. It won't be enough. It really won't be enough.
And from your volleyball IQ, was there a coach that really kind of, this is the way we want to play, this is how we want to attack?
We have a camp every year here in the fall where we invite college coaches in. And I have had a plethora of college coaches. Dan Meskey, who's the head coach at Louisville right now, was at Augustana, and he was in this gym. So I have just a notebook full of drills from coaches from all over. So I would say it's just a plethora of people that, hey, I like that. Oh, you do that. And I take what I like, drills that I've learned from having coaches. You are never too good or too old or too stuck in your ways to learn new things. We had a coach in this year, and I was writing down drills and ideas. I love to have other college coaches come in. I'll have coaches, whether it be Northwestern, Dort, whoever, come to our games, and I'll text them afterwards. What did you think? What were the weaknesses you saw? Like, you have to have those people out there that, and be willing to learn. Like I would always say, I'm always looking to learn ideas from other coaches. Hey, I saw this, your blocking had some holes in it. Whatever it may be, take it, learn from it, use it, for sure.
As time's gone on, how many coaches are reaching out to you to pick your brain? Do you see a lot of that, or are they kind of standoffish in the summer? Do you get the random email from some coach, hey, how would you address this situation? Have you become that mentor?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we play Harrisburg on Thursday. That's in South Dakota, not Iowa, and they're number one. And the coach and I were texting last night, and she said, hey, I'm kind of deciding on a couple girls yet. We're playing 10 girls. Can you kind of watch while we're playing? And I'd like your thoughts after the match. And yeah, for sure. Team camps, what'd you think of my two setters? MOC's head coach right now is a former player of mine. We shoot a lot of things off each other. You got to have coaching comrades that become friends. Even though you might compete on the floor, I think really in Northwest Iowa here, we would support each other and help each other out in any way we can to, develop our teams.
In building this program, what do you feel is the critical brick? What is the key component of that foundation of a program? Is there a standard that you think, if you're going to have a successful program, it must be this?
I'd say faith and family. That is the core of who we are. Our program has such strong family, and it's all centered around our faith. And that's who we are. Like, this isn't just me coaching volleyball. It's a whole plethora of people, support system, from our family to our school, our administration, athletic directors. Like, we are supported here. And that's why I love to do it. You can't just do it by yourself. So I'd say our whole program and our culture is created first by our faith, who we are and why we play. And then it's just surrounded by strong family and just support from our entire community.
With youth programs, social media, rally scoring, the game has evolved over your 26 years here in several different aspects. How do you stay relevant? How do you adopt those trends? How do you stay on top of what's happening in volleyball?
That is true. I didn't even know what social media was when I started. And now I got to make these things called gippers.
Yes.
And that's the world we live in. The girls, we want to promote our program, and we're encouraged to do so. So, again, having some young coaches that can help you with some of those social media things is definitely helpful. But, you have to learn and adapt to what's happening in today's game. And yeah, the rally scoring, at first I'm kind of a creature of habit, and I was like, oh man, what is this? And now it's like, I can't imagine going back. So it's just being able to adapt to what's happening within the game, what's happening within society, and you gotta roll with those changes, and be flexible and adapt with it.
With the game itself, what's been the biggest change, do you think, over your career in terms of the athletes? Is it the speed? Is it the technique?
The power. Back 26 years ago, I don't even think we were lifting weights hardly. And, it wasn't a big thing, where now it is, weightlifting and, core strength and plyometrics and just everything at their fingertips, all this acceleration. And so I just think the speed, the power of the game, and just the skills, like it has all just really increased. And these girls are playing high level volleyball, and it's fun to be a part of, but that would be one of the biggest changes that I've seen over the years.
Was there a time when your program took an emphasis on strength and conditioning? Was it something that early on maybe wasn't there, but was there a time when you guys really bought into strength and conditioning in the off season?
Yeah, I think it's really when Western Christian got a football team here, and that became more of an emphasis. We didn't have much of a weight room, and then we built a weight room, and that you just saw that kind of starting to increase, and girls starting to enjoy it more and more and feeling good about themselves. And it just kind of took off, even like you said, social media, like it was becoming a thing. And so I'd say that's really when maybe Western Christian bought into it more. We got a football team, we got a bigger weight room, and it has definitely shown its positive things. And even just injury prevention, all these things that are coming into play that are a big part of the game now.
And with these changes, and that recruiting wise, when college coaches come and talking to you, has that evolved? Has that changed in what they're wanting to see or they're wanting to know?
I think it maybe has changed. That back in the day, I probably got more calls from coaches, but now with the evolution of club volleyball, like a year ago, I had a girl go D1 to South Dakota State, and I don't think I ever talked to the coach. But that's because they were contacting their club coach much more than they are high school coaches now. So I think that evolution has changed, where clubs are getting a lot more involved with recruiting. So it's probably even less pressure on the high school coaches.
And Western Christian, you guys run when did that club start? You have your own youth club development program.
Oh yeah, as long as I've been here. And it's definitely evolved and grown. But we have AAU volleyball in the state of Iowa. And that is really the backbone of what we do here. We don't have a lot of girls play club because of Sunday play. And AAU, we play on Saturdays here, and everyone in the area does it. Like if you don't, you're going to fall behind. And it's just, I think schools started seeing Western Christian, Sioux Center, Unity Christian playing AAU, and it is just boom. Every Saturday in Northwest Iowa in the winter, every gym in this entire 15-mile radius is full of little girls playing volleyball. We had 110 girls last year. And again, obviously I can't coach 110 girls. I can't run that program by myself. So it's moms that are former players, cousins, aunts, sisters, everyone coming out of the woodwork, willing to help coach our young girls because they love this program. And that's why we stay successful. It's not when they're juniors and seniors. It starts in 4th grade.
How do you take that number, 110 in the youth programs, and as they go through high school, that number is going to start to shrink. But how do you keep maybe the backup setter engaged, maybe that person that has about 2 years away from really being the outside? How do you keep them engaged and encourage them as their high school career moves forward?
Yeah, I would say over the years that's become tougher to keep kids engaged, but we really just preach the value of them, and we're only as good as our last player. You're only as good as the 12 you have, and that's something that I find that Western Christian, why we are successful, is some of the best games that we play the entire year are happening right in this gym. No one gets to see them. They're against each other. So our depth of players, we don't just have 7 really good players. We probably have 13, 14 every year they could walk down the street and start at another school. And they're maybe having to sit here and wait, or sometimes they never really even get on the court. But you have to really show them they're valued. The team has to show them they're valued. You got to show them they're loved and they're part of it. It can't just be, my attention goes to the stars. It's not going to work. We do an appreciation circle every Wednesday where we say what we appreciate. And just last week, I pointed out to my backup setter, that was my appreciation, was you. We're not as good without you. Even though you might not have played last night, we are not the same team without you. So just saying it, verbalizing it, showing it, and just showing them that they're important. You have to show it and say it.
That's great advice. Family and volleyball. How have you balanced the two, or how are they one and the same?
I would say one and the same. First of all, I grew up here, so I had family support, sisters, a mom and dad that lived nearby, and you have to have a great support system, whether it be a husband or a wife, and I had that. I raised 3 children all the way through my coaching career, but I had great help. And then when they got old enough, Ashton, my daughter, tagged along, and then I was able to coach her. And now currently she's my assistant coach. So it's been, kind of just this whole journey of watching her as a little girl, coaching her, and now she's by my side. And it's just a dream come true. So our family's very intertwined. They help. I would say they're part of the program. My husband does a lot behind the scenes. He drives our bus. He helps do the stats. Like, he's the backup man. So you have to have that support. Can't be on an island by yourself. And our family loved it. Like, it was just part of kind of who we are, and we made it a special thing for our family.
Was there any challenges in coaching when your daughter came through? As coaches have a child that comes through, sometimes, could be an adjustment. Was there any challenges with that?
I had one daughter, and I either always hoped that she was awful and never even cared about volleyball, or she was awesome. But that one right in between is what I was nervous about. You don't ever want someone to think you're playing your daughter just because. But luckily for me, she was 6'2". She was pretty good at volleyball. So it was pretty seamless. She proved herself. And yeah, we enjoyed it. There's always some moments between daughter and coach, but it was a journey we very much look back on fondly, and something, that we'll cherish for the rest of our lives, to be able to coach your daughter. And they give me a hard time that I should stay long enough that I can coach my granddaughter, but I don't know about that yet. I don't have a grandchild yet, so they better get going then, right?
How would players describe your coaching style?
It's funny because, some other teams, like when my players have gone to all-star games, and certain things they'll be like, oh, do you like your coach? They'll ask our players that, because I think when they see me coach, I'm passionate, and I can be intense, and I can be a yeller sometimes in those moments. But if you would ask my players, they would be like, she's just a big old teddy bear. Like, they know, again, they see the raw emotions of me. They will see tears from me, of sadness, cry with them, love on them through hard times. So I would say that they know when I'm business and when I'm ready to go, and they sense that. And then that switch turns for us. And then there's moments of silliness and laughs, and let's sit down and talk about our day. And I have that side of me too, where they see the mom, the emotional side, that she's a good person and she cares about us. But it's like a switch, and they know when the switch is up or down. And so I would say they would say, probably that I'm hard, but they know that I love them with all my heart.
You're authentic. You're real. In listening to you describe that, the game is an ebb and flow of emotion.
Yep.
And I think sometimes coaches try to hide who they really are, and you're authentic and you're real. And
yes.
that's great.
Yes, they see who I am. They get who I am. And because it's funny, we had a freshman on our team this year, and I got emotional about something, and she was patting me on my back like, it's okay. And the other girls were like, oh, Morgan, you better get used to that, and yeah, for them to get to know who I am. And I do try to be real. I don't hide who I am. I don't hide my faith. I don't hide my emotions. And I'm a pretty straight shooter.
How do you mentally prepare kids to perform when the lights are brightest? 23 state semifinal appearances. You've played in some of the biggest games. And I'm sure over the years you've had young players step up. You've had veteran players who maybe their first time in that limelight. How do you mentally prepare kids to compete and perform when the stage is the brightest?
Yeah, I touched on this before, but I think you just fill them with confidence. You just honestly, you just tell them you got this, and we're ready for it. Like, we've kind of been in some of these situations. That's why when we go to the state tournament, we always pull up to a full roster. We'll take as many girls as we can, because they get to see that. They got to see last year what happened versus Mount Vernon, and the year before versus Dyke New Hartford. And so some of it is just tradition, right? I love a saying that is, tradition never graduates. So because these girls have kind of seen our success, they've seen what it takes, they've looked up to these seniors, they've got to go to the state tournament and witness what it is. And then the next year, they're ready for their challenge. They're ready to continue that on. And so I think just, I cannot emphasize enough, like, just telling them we believe in you. And at the end of the day, we always tell them, no matter what happens in this game, okay, win or lose, your family's still going to love you. You're going to go home. You're going to have your warm bed. You're going to have your school, your friends. Nothing's going to change whether you win or lose this game. And already God has the outcome determined. He does. So we just get to go play it. We get to play in the biggest stage in high school sports. Just go play. And for whatever reason, honestly, we really excel in those matches. We just let ourselves go free. And it's kind of the culture we created. And last year was the best we played the entire season, was at the state tournament. We rose up in that moment, just played free, and just let it fly. And it was awesome to watch.
It's contagious.
Yes.
When you see kids having fun playing free, making the big hit, effort is contagious.
Yep.
And that's great advice. 26th year at Western Christian, 14 state championships. Is there a season or moment that stands out the most over that very successful career? Is there something that, wow, that one was really special?
I'm going to go with two. We lost 4 years in a row to Dyke New Hartford, with some of the best teams that I had ever had at Western Christian here. And I will stand true and say, probably that year we lost to Dyke in 5 at the Ice Arena was the best team I've ever had at Western. And we were not state champs. So then after that stretch, my daughter, I think, was a sophomore. And then we won that year. And it was almost just like relief. Like, obviously it was special because my daughter was on that team, but it was like we finally did it again, after some heartbreak with some of those great teams. And then obviously one that I will never, ever forget in my history of coaching was coming back on Dyke New Hartford 2 seasons ago, being down 14-11. Nobody saw that coming in the entire gym, including myself. And my team just willed it. They just said, we're not going to lose this. And to beat that dominant Dyke New Hartford in that fashion will be something I will never forget.
In that preparation for that game, is it the same as the others in terms of just build them with confidence?
Absolutely.
And let it rip?
Yep. Even though when we have meetings sometimes as a coach, we'll be like, "Ooh, this is going to be a tough match for us. We're going to have some matchup issues." We never allow that to enter the girls' minds. We always say we're better than them. We can beat them. We're better in this position. We just have to do this. We can stop them. That's all we say. We just say we're going to win. That's all we say the whole time. And then sometimes it doesn't happen. When I lost to Dyke those 4 years, I said the same thing. We're better. We're going to win. And we did it. And then those are some hard times, right? But you just have to say, hey, they played better in that game. That's okay. We still love you. And you bounce back, right? Because I always say, like, a state championship is like you're on the mountain, right? But when you're on the mountain, the air is thin. Okay? You have to come back down anytime you climb a mountain. So back down we go. And then every year, everybody starts at the base of the mountain. And now it's working that journey up, and we talk about finding joy in the journey. Some of my learning over the years is not focusing on that last game. And I've made that mistake in my coaching career, where all we focused on was that last game. How are we going to beat Dyke New Hartford? And then we didn't. And so then you feel like what? A failure. So I learned over the years, don't ever do that. Find joy in the journey. Every game, every practice, every locker room, the devotions, the bus rides, the meals. Find joy in the journey. Don't put it on one moment, because it's going to steal your joy. So that's something I learned as a coach, is you can't focus on just one thing. Love every day, every moment, the whole joy of the journey of the season, and it will be a great ride, and it's worth it. There's going to be some hard times in coaching, but my advice to the younger coaches is it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. I've done it for 26 years, not because I've won state championships, because I love the relationships with the girls, the parents. That's why I keep doing it.
Multi-sport athletes. How do you balance basketball and volleyball athletes, or is it an issue? Is it?
You know, here at Western Christian, we need to share athletes. We don't have a huge school, and our great athletes need to be multi-sport athletes. And there were several years where we were basketball, girls championship, and volleyball when my daughter played. So you have to work with the other coach, build a relationship with them, support each other. Our basketball coach right now, he's very supportive of the volleyball, and vice versa. I love volleyball. My daughter was probably the best basketball player to ever walk out of the school. So you need to support and encourage the girls to stay with it. And if you can do that, and look at Dyke New Hartford, there's another great example. It can be done. It can be done. You just got to share those athletes. And I think it's good for them to step away from volleyball for a few months, rest their shoulders, focus on something else, and then come back to it.
Pass, set, hit. Which of those three do you think is the most important?
Pass, without a doubt. The first contact is the most important contact, and we will work on it, and we will work on it, and then we will work on it some more, because we will beat you, because we will pass the ball better than you. Everybody's got a setter. Everybody will find hitters, but we will beat you because we will pass the ball better than you.
Last two questions.
Okay.
Passion outside of volleyball. What's your, when you need to step away and just, what's your passion? What's your interest outside of volleyball?
Obviously family, traveling, when I get a chance. I love to go on a trip with my family. There's nothing more important to me than my family. So I would say traveling. We went to Canada this summer. We went to Mexico last year. Like, any chance we can get to just kind of break away from this. But this is our life. It's our family's life, mine, my husband's. Volleyball is my passion, but outside of it, boating, Okaboji, got in my blood when I coached there, love that. But so just anything family related would be my passion outside of volleyball.
Our mantra is empowering the Iowa girl today to lead tomorrow. As an organization, that's what we strive to do every day. What does it mean to be an Iowa girl?
Oh man, so many things. Iowa Girl is just about leadership, developing young women to go out and make a difference in today's society through the sports that they play, learning that leadership, dedication, teamwork, and just the passion, and that they carry that on and they make a difference in our wonderful state. Leadership, setting the tone, creating the culture. Starts with the head coach, trickles down to everyone else. You set the tone, create the positive culture that you want.
Sorry.
Culture, it's the most important thing in your program. Work ethic, it's who you are as a program on and off the court. In the classroom, in the gym, in the weight room, it has to all ebb and flow together. Work ethic. Accountability, you have to have strong leaders that hold each other accountable. Whether it's on the court with the coach there or in the locker room when the coach isn't there, who's going to hold each other accountable? You have to have those captains and those people. Accountability is key. Parents, I believe they're the bloodline of your program. You have to involve them. You have to inform them. You have to have them on your side, because they're raising those children, and they got to be part of your program. And if they are, you'll find success. Teamwork. It's the key to all success in sports. A great team won't win if they don't get along. You have to find a way, especially with women, young girls, that if you can get them to work together towards a common goal, that's huge. Communication is a key element in coaching. You have to have effective communication with your players, with your parents. It has to be clear, concise. There has to be expectations, rules, and it has to be communicated clearly so everyone is on the same page, moving towards the same goal.
If you'd like to check out more Empowering the Iowa Girl interviews, go ahead and click here for our playlist. If you'd like to see the recent interviews we've completed, go ahead and click here. And finally, if you'd like to subscribe to catch all of our interviews when they come out on the informational superhighway, click here.